It's pretty easy to tear apart all of these articles using scare tactics for women in the Magic the Gathering community. If you're a girl out there and you've seen some of these articles, you probably think most of the men in local game stores are disgusting chauvinistic pigs who will probably grab your boobs the minute you walk through the door, whether you like it or not. Now, if you're into something like that, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that's just really not how it goes. And I would venture a guess that while I accept that many people make the decision to just play Magic casually and not play it competitively and don't even like going to Friday Night Magic, that's their choice. But if you are interested in getting into competitive Magic the Gathering play and you happen to be female, these suggestions will work for males as well. I want to provide you an actual non-self-serving guide to getting into playing Magic the Gathering. There are a few things you're going to have to understand about showing up at your local game store, but I want to start with probably the best piece of advice I can give you. If you want to play competitive Magic, being competitive is about grinding. It's about playing as many games as possible. I still think the most efficient way to do this is to play online using Magic the Gathering Online, Magic Arena, or some of the free options like Cockatrice or X-Mage. This is a great way to grind, play as many games as Magic as humanly possible, and also have little to no human interaction. One of the biggest scare tactics a lot of these blue-haired allies seem to have for you women coming to play Magic the Gathering is that the community is so toxic and so scary. Well, if you play Magic the Gathering online, you can play a ton of games very quickly. The cost to buy in is relatively cheap. And look, if you're looking to play competitive Magic the Gathering, you're going to spend money. Hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars every couple of months on decks that rotate, depending on if you're playing standard or modern. You're going to have multiple decks. You're going to have new cards every time a new set comes out. This is the path you've chosen. So I'm not going to give much advice there. Playing competitive Magic the Gathering, should you choose to do so, is expensive. The reality of the local game store, if you want to attend the local game store, what you'll read by a lot of your brightly colored friends is that they're dark, dingy places with smelly people, and this is offensive to women. Let me assure you, it's offensive to men as well. And let me also assure you that, yes, local game stores are often small, cramped. You can have body odor issues, and sometimes the bathrooms just aren't in the best condition. This is the lot that we all have to deal with. Having pee on the toilet seat isn't exactly great for a guy to sit in either. And having somebody reek like body odor next to you isn't exactly great for a guy either. These are not unique women in Magic problems. These are unique characteristics, subtle nuances of the local game store. They're not all like that. The one I go to, Game Universe in Menomonee Falls, is always clean. The bathroom is always clean, and for the most part, people are tolerable in their body odor. Outside of events like Friday Night Magic, where you may have that one or two people that worked a 10-hour shift at the car garage and then showed up at F&M at the last possible minute, reeking like BO. But for the most part, it's fine. You're in it with everyone else. The bathroom's gross. The people sometimes can be gross, but that's not the norm. That's definitely the exception to the rule. And look, when you show up in there, yes, they're going to notice that you are a bit of a unicorn. My advice is to accept it and own it, as opposed to open that door and looking to be offended. These people in a local game store are not looking to offend you. Magic players, in my experience, real Magic players that sit at local game stores, not these people online. Real Magic players are the nicest, most welcoming people I have ever met in my life. And I assure you, they will trip over themselves to make sure you are comfortable as a woman, because this is the environment that Wizards of the Coast has set forward. Years of blaming men for not having women make the choice to play competitive Magic will make everyone on high alert. which will unfortunately lead to some awkward comments, which is going to happen. You have to remember to not assign malice when you can also just assign autism. I mean, the guys are uncomfortable. Maybe some of them don't know a lot of women or interact with women. And so they might say, oh, a unicorn, oh, a chick, or what's it like to be a chick? Or, hey, is your boyfriend here? So what? That might happen the first time. But then after you go a couple weeks in a row, everyone's going to know you, everyone's going to remember you, and that stuff is all going to disappear. The idea that every time you show up at the local game store, you're going to be harassed and ogled and treated like some, science experiment is absurd. It exists only in the minds of social justice warriors and those who glom onto the Magic the Gathering community to push ideology rather than the game itself. This is where many of these articles and videos come from. These aren't coming from people that are sitting in the local game store every week. They're not coming from people who compete at Grand Prix tournaments. They're coming from people who have gender studies degrees and apply that lens to literally everything in their life. They are sad, unhappy people who will likely die alone. So I highly recommend not taking any advice from these people about anything. Now, unless maybe you want to learn how to cheat the tax system and live off the government, maybe they'll help you there. So, look, Magic players are awkward. It doesn't matter if you're new and you're a woman or a man. If you're a woman, they're going to be a little more awkward. This is normal. Don't believe those articles that every one of them is going to want to bang you. Now, you might be into that, but that's not what people are there for. Most Magic players, believe it or not, that I meet have a girlfriend or a wife, or they're maybe gay and they're not interested in girls anyway. It's not how they preach it, where you walk in the door and you feel like a hot sunlight beam is on you, and all the guys are like, I want the boobies. It doesn't work like that. Most people are adults and they've at least seen boobs in their life. You're going to get the odd stare here and there, maybe by somebody, but you got to understand, they're just awkward. They don't mean anything by it. I've never met a Magic player like IRL, okay, who has ever said anything sexist about women or anything creepy or, I've sat in a local game store and I've sat, when a girl comes in and here's what the guys say. Ooh, a unicorn. And that's it. So what? It'd be no different than, I'm assuming, if you walked in to a room full of black guys as a white dude, they'd be like, ooh, what's going on? But nobody would care, because what people are concerned about is their draft firing or having an extra player, more prize support, somebody else to trade with. Maybe some guys will be guilty of overly advising you. I don't know what to do for that. This is beta male behavior. This is ingrained in people where they feel like they need to, they are some sort of savior for the woman. I can't fix that, but know that even their intentions are probably fine. And the reality is, if you go to a local game store and you have a bad experience, every owner I've ever met in my life will squash that out. Just mention it to them, write an email. You don't even have to make a big deal about it. You send a little Facebook message or whatever. And in most cases, the local game store the owners I know, will pull people aside and be like, hey, dude, knock it off. Or like, hey, she's not into hentai. Maybe don't talk about that with her. This kind of stuff gets squashed out with no big deal. And anytime anybody crosses the line, in my experience, people check them. So don't be afraid to go into local game stores. Don't believe all this hype that Magic players are creeps and they all want to, hit on you and that's all they care about. No. Magic players just want to play Magic. And any real interaction you have with douchebags in Magic the Gathering, you should rest assured that your male counterparts are having the exact same reaction. I recently read an article that was saying, this woman had a unique experience because her opponent was rushing her so they could get to round 3, and this was because she was a woman. No, this is about every tryhard at a pre-release. When you go to a pre-release, there's a room full of 50 people. There's always 5 tryhards, and the rounds are timed. And if you lose game 1 and you're finishing game 2, you're going to try to rush to get to game 3. I've done it. I've had it done against me a million times. It's nothing personal. These people are simply tryhards. It has nothing to do with you being a girl. And if you want to really own it, I recommend using it to your advantage. If these people want to take it easy on you, okay, beat them. If these people want to offer you advice, take it. You know, it's really not that big of a deal. You shouldn't be offended that somebody's trying to be nice to you. The problem is a lot of this narrative around the men in the Magic the Gathering community is that there's some sort of evil creeps, when all the behavior I've seen is pretty much people just being socially awkward. And they're probably like that with men and women the same. They're just that weird. It's nothing personal. And if you want to integrate with the Magic the Gathering community, a lot of these articles place the blame solely on the men. You know, if you're new to a local game store, whether you're a man or you're a woman, making an extra effort to integrate yourself into that community can go a long way. Maybe bringing pizza one night. This, again, goes for men and women. If you're just new to a new group of people, what's wrong with getting on their good side? You order a couple of $5, $6 pizzas from Domino's, and they will love you forever. And then, boom, you're part of the club. Everybody's good. Nobody's, everyone's worried about greasy pizza fingers and magic cards. We're talking about pepperonis and not boobs or whatever. Defuse the situation a little bit. And once you're in and you have a local game store, it will be highly unlikely for you to ever have a problem. And let me tell you this too about the Magic the Gathering community. Once they look out for you, as they have for me over many years, they got your back for life. Okay, so if you have some new jack comes into that local game shop and starts talking trash about you or starts getting out of line, rest assured that everyone else here that knows you is going to defend you, more so than any man they probably would. Not saying this is right or wrong, but just know that you have nothing to fear with going to a local game store any differently than going to any new club or any new thing. You're just new. When you join a new bowling league, you don't know anybody. You go to a new bar, you don't know anybody. So you buy around when you get there. Or, you start a new job, you bring muffins or you bring bagels in. This is just normal human behavior. You're an outsider and you're new. That doesn't matter if you're a girl or you're a guy. Now, it's a little different because you're a girl, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be any more difficult for you. Men have the same problem kind of going into a new place and joining a new group. So just don't read all these articles about how, this guy did this one weird thing and that guy did this other weird thing, because these interactions are extraordinarily few and far between. And if you have one and you've integrated yourself into that community and you tell a buddy, like you tell me about it, I'm talking to that dude outside while we're having a smoke, or I'm mentioning something to the owner. And I know a lot of other players that would do the exact same thing I would, just like they would for a man. So don't let these blue-haired fearmongers scare you out of joining the Magic the Gathering community. And also, don't think there's anything weird with you if you don't want to play F&M and you just want to play casual or EDH. So what? That doesn't mean anything's wrong, okay? It doesn't mean that you should play these things. You should naturally be interested. And again, like I led the video off with, you always have Magic the Gathering Online, which has a proven path to the Pro Tour. You could earn your way all the way to the Pro Tour and never interact with a human soul ever. Seems pretty good to me as someone who spends a little time in their basement, okay? So don't let them frighten you off. Just know that they're more afraid of you than you are of them. Just be kind, come in, maybe own that, hey, there's a hen in the whatever, cock in the hen house, reverse. It's so what? There's nothing wrong with accepting that you're outnumbered, right? It's acting weird about it and being nervous that really puts everyone else off. So just come in, bring some pizza pies, bring some Red Bull, or bring whatever, bring some booster packs, sponsor a draft. I mean, what would that cost? Yeah, okay, it's not nothing, but I mean, if you're in a position to, or you pay for EDH, it's $2 a person, $3 a person for 8 people. Whatever the case may be, you can ingratiate yourself if you're a man or a woman, and you'll find that the Magic community is extraordinarily accepting, the most accepting I've ever seen in my life, and the most loyal of any community I've ever seen in my life. And don't worry about what people are saying online. Well, except for this video and all of my other videos. I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to seeing more women at Friday Night Magic, but if you don't, that's okay too. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.